When we don't know what matters the most, we're at the mercy of what matters the least. That's one of my favorite quotes from Covey. And today, I'm going to give you just a couple of quick tips for defining and then living by what matters most.
Being a woman is tough. Women of Excellence with Janeé Hill encourages, equips, and empowers women with real solutions to real issues. From business to family, to health and relationships, work-life balance. If women face it, we address it with heart, humor, and a hands-on approach. Women of Excellence, where laughter meets tough love as we do life together.
Welcome to Women of Excellence. I'm Janeé, your host and the founder of Women of Excellence. Women of Excellence is designed to be a supportive, collaborative community for high-achieving women to learn and grow. And when I say high-achieving women, I'm not talking about your CEOs or your executives or the heads of nonprofits. Certainly, some of you may be that. But when I am talking about high-achieving women, I'm talking about you, those women that are always looking for ways to improve yourself, improve your families, improve your communities, your workplaces, and basically the world around you. So I'm guessing that if you are listening, then you are a high-achieving woman, or maybe a man, because I do think we have a few men that listen to this podcast. Today, we're going to talk about what is it that you value? And when I say that, you may be like, this is a heavy topic. Let me move on to the next episode, but hang with me. If you hear the term burnout, what do you think of? Many people think that burnout is working too much, or it is, really just being too busy and then you just get too tired. But burnout is a result of spending too much time away from your high values. Let me say that again. Burnout is a result of spending too much time away from your high values. For me, I work a ton. I work probably 80 hours a week, and I am a wife and mom, and it really doesn't feel like work to me because I love what I do, because I believe that I am living according to my values. So if you think about values as your core guiding principles, let me say that one more time. Your values are your core guiding principles. What would your values be? Now, some of you may say, oh, my family. Well, family's not really a value. It would need to be kind of like a principle. So for instance, for me, one of my values is providing for my family. And so when I'm providing for my family, sometimes that means, because we're a dual income household, sometimes that means that I work a lot. But it's okay because I know that I am providing for my family, and that's an important value of mine. And so think about your values. I'll just give you a couple to kind of get your wheels turning. Some people's values are staying health and fit. Other people's values, getting ahead. And there is no judgment, by the way, if that's a value of yours. I've heard other people say their value is financial success or financial security. Some people's value is living according to their faith. That's certainly one of mine. And so as you think about these values, and this is going to be a very short episode that really has long work behind it if you do it effectively. But if you think about those values, if you take time to write down your top 10 values, and if you go to my website, to the Women of Excellence page, I will have a list of some sample values to kind of help you maybe choose from and then add to. But if you write down your top 10 values, and then after you've written those values down, I want you to take a minute and answer the question. If I were to look at where you spend your time, your calendar, your bank account, I'm a television producer. If I rolled a camera on your life for a week, would I know that those are your core values? For instance, years ago, my son was 2, and I remember walking up to his school and I hear him saying, "No, I know my mom will be here. She works a lot, but I know she'll be here." He was 2. And it just broke my heart that he's at his school saying, "I know she'll be here, but she works a lot." And so there will be times that we're living according to our values, but it still can get tough because we have to prioritize those values. And so after you've got those 10 values written down, I would love for you to take a minute and to strike off 3 of those values. So if you had to cut 3 of those values, take a minute, and what 3 would you cut? Okay, after you cut those 3, go back and cut 2 more. So now you're just down to 5 values, right? 5 values. So you went from 10 to 5. And like I said, there are times we have to choose. So don't be saying, "Janeé, this isn't fair," because life isn't fair. We have to choose between our values. And so why don't you go ahead and choose 2 more to cut? So now you're only going to have 3 left. And so take a minute and you've cut more, and now you're down to 1 value. And y'all may be going, "How did we go from 10 to now we're at 1? And we quickly went from 3 to 1. And again, you're probably cursing me or saying this isn't fair. But in life, we absolutely will have to choose between our values. I have always wanted to do television and media. And a few years ago, I was offered a big, giant network deal. And it really was everything I had ever hoped and dreamt for. The only caveat was that I was going to have to shoot in New York for 7 weeks with no contact with my family except for supervised Skype visits once a week. And so I turned it down because my number 1 value outside of living according to my faith is being a good helpmate and shepherd for my husband and my children. And so I said no. And so go back to your core values. What is that 1 value that you are absolutely non-negotiable on? And now go back to what I asked you earlier. If I look at your checkbook, if I asked your family, your friends, would they know what your top priority number 1 value is? Now, I will say that this is really tough work, but when you get it, it truly is a game changer. People say to me, "Janeé, you're all across the board. I see you working with clients. You've got your Women of Excellence group. Then I see your podcast and vodcast. Then I see you out directing events." I am all centered around my core values. And the more we know what we stand for, the more we can actually do. But oftentimes we become like hamsters. We're busy, but we're not productive because we're not leading a rooted life. If you think about your values as like roots, studies show that even big giant trees that have been around for hundreds of years can be moved as long as their roots are kept intact. And our roots are like our values. So keep those roots intact. And from our values, we form intentions. I value being a good shepherd, being a good caretaker of my husband and my children. And so I intend to spend time with them. I intend to cook for them, because from our values, we form intentions. But from our intentions, we form behaviors. I am making meals. I'm cleaning up after them. I'm also working so that I can be a good caretaker and help provide. But see, sometimes people form perceptions, based on them seeing us from the outside in. And just like we look at trees differently, here you've got a picture of a tree, and the way I would describe it would be very different than how you would describe it. People are forming perceptions about us from the outside in, but we are looking at ourselves from the inside out. So, for instance, when my husband and I got married, I still was kind of trying to figure out how to be a wife and how to live in a way that was really kind of more of a partnership instead of just independence. And sometimes my behaviors got way off track. And so just like you need to trim certain branches of a tree to grow, the same thing has to happen in our life. We trim those branches of behaviors that are not working for us. So today was a short little mentoring moment. It may be a simple concept, but it is certainly not easy to live out. In my Women of Excellence group, we spend a lot of time, really months, working on this, because when we can find what matters the most to us, it will drastically change not only your life, but also others' lives around you. And so if you've got questions, feel free to email me, info@janeehill.com. Go easy on yourself. This is a process. It's not about defining your core values and then drastically changing your life. It's small, consistent baby steps that will ultimately lead to long-term big change. So, as we close today, what matters the most to you? And if you didn't say a word, would I know just by the way you live your life? Thanks for joining us. Until next time.